Yo, we did it. I think. Did we?
No, we're wrong. You guys swapped me in Cyprus.
Oh, that's right, because I was on the different menu. Oops.
Also, I'm Laertes now.
Oh, well, hold on.
Have fun with that.
There we go.
I'm correct.
Yours is easy because it's me, Mapcam, and you. So as long as I know that you're up here, but then the rest, I always get
Means you're
jumbled.
number 3 in his heart. He's
Yeah,
number 1 in his heart.
Mapcam would be number 1 for me too.
It's listen.
To be
Listen.
fair,
understand.
on Wednesday we have Sam Cam, so I do kind of get it.
Sam Cam is my favorite part though. And every time I rewatch the episode, I'm like, wait, oh yeah, they don't get to see Sam Cam. And it makes me sad.
Yeah, but now they get to imagine it, which is even funnier.
We should
It's
have
like a
it be like
1950s
really,
monster.
really little, like a little Easter egg in the corner.
Yeah. Very low, very high transparency or very low transparency? What would that be?
High transparent.
Depends how much
Very
you
high.
pay for it.
Very high transparency, just in the background, so it looks like he's kind of ghostly
A
somewhere.
watermark.
Peering over the edge like Kilroy.
And if you angle it just right, if you have like windows on the side, it looks like he's in the window of one of the buildings. It's great.
For those confused that we are discussing our dear friend and producer for our Vampire the Masquerade game, which happens tomorrow's.
Tomorrow's, yes. Might as well go ahead and jump right in there. Go ahead and plug that.
Yeah, so we're doing Vampire the Masquerade. The name of the campaign is Savannah by Night, which is your guess about where it takes place.
It's set in Atlanta. I have to be a little shit at least once a night, so I'm done.
I mean, the right state, but yeah. So come
Tallahassee.
watch. We do bloody things at all the time, and no one's cried yet. We'll
Lame.
get there.
With tears of laughter, yes, surprisingly.
Well, I mean, in character people have cried, and that's the fun part. It's fine. There's been no lasting psychological repercussions.
Yet.
But Aaron, what else do you have to announce this week?
Well, okay, so on Friday, it is the return of Star Wars Land. Whee! Yeah, so on Friday, 7 p.m. Central, the semi-reoccurring, which had started as one-shots, now turning into multi-shots as is my custom, although this one's taking a lot longer to like take off, but we're getting there. So you know, we're playing some Twin Company. This will be Twin Company 4, Forge Ahead. I don't have a video thingy because my subscription ran out for my video editor, so I have to wait till Friday to do that. But until then, you know, you can catch the old video. It's on our YouTube. So if you want to catch up with the last, are both of them on there? Yeah, I think both of them are on there. So they're both on the channel. You can look up Twin Company 2 and Twin Company 3 consecutively are on our YouTube backlog. So there is that.
Who's in it, Aaron?
We have our friends Sonder. We have our friends Sherry. We have our friends Pip, and we have our friends Shanks. So we have the 4 returning for some Star Warsy goodness. And then we'll see where it takes off from there.
Hey.
Hopefully the plan is we'll get to do something with this some or parts of the crew once a month from here on out. So we shall see now that the moving of Aaron Land has shifted to another permanent location for at least another year. I can start working on all my other back end of projects that I had meant to do this summer.
Prohibition speakeasy, avoiding the police.
Yeah.
Moving around.
You gotta keep moving. It's fine. So yeah, looking forward to that this Friday. Be there or be square. Or round. Whatever shape you decide to be. You can be a triangle too. I hear Ososceles is nice this year. I think that's about all I have for announcements before I completely just take a dive off the deep end.
That was
You did that a long time ago.
I was like, I kind of one of those like, you're driving me crazy, and I'm like, you had to have not already been there to begin with, and I was already in the deep end. So let's be real. I don't know. All right. Anything else for you guys? I don't think so, right? That about covers it. Welcome back, Themisto. Good to have you back.
Thank you so much.
Back in the seats again.
It is good to be back in the seats again.
Yeah. And with that, we'll go ahead and jump into tonight's episode of Urge of Myth. Woo! And then the whole world exploded. And we're back.
Well, I guess I don't need to do a recap.
And then it exploded. Okay. Go for it.
Okay. In a cold and solemn chamber, a catacomb beneath the palace of the kings of Sparta, all but two of the young Orphics meet Lady Hecate and Lord Hermes, all of them looking upon a constructed corpse, metamorphosed by Beldura and pulled from it by hopeful Laertes in a desperate yet calculated act of compassion, which came a millennium too late. Hecate weeps for what has been lost and what may yet be. She warns dear Phoebe of her potential, and persevering Cyprus of the danger to his love. Hermes schemes his way into a meeting with a king in the palace above, where Themisto recounts a tale. The sky is still dark over Sparta. We left the palace with your consent, King Menandros of humanity, and King Xenophon of hobgoblin kind. Bring the speaker of the cult of Phobos, Orcos, to answer for my accusations against him. He preached fear and discord. He speaks against the gods, with his cult as a way out. But seekers have found more than they bargained for, with those like the woman Ilsoa transformed or made to do horrible things, or worse, believed to make the stew and sandwiches with the cult used to buy the goodwill of the people. In the courtyard outside the cult's headquarters in Sparta, my companions, Laertes and Oretino, were attacked by Orcos and Neush, who held an ancient power, an enemy of the gods masquerading as a man. and they summon beasts made from sacrifices of cultists or their victims. But with abilities gifted to us by the gods for this mission, and the help of the mighty General Pelios of Sparta and his Iron Shadow, we were able to emerge victorious and detain Orcos. In the cult shop we discovered traps, the crazed woman Ilsoa, who I mentioned before, and the bodies of the cult's victims, or the remains that have not been consumed unknowingly by the people of this city. And the third of the ringleaders of the cult, a woman named Minea, escaped, perhaps through a system of passages and caverns beneath the city. An entrance lies in the cult shop. We believe she heads to Thebes next. And this is the short of it anyway, my king.
King Menandros strokes his graying beard. You stand in a room with a small table that sits by an open window that looks out over the wall that surrounds the fortress palace and the hillside beyond, and beyond that, the city of Sparta as you look over to the southwest of this building, or of the city. In the distance, you can see the mountain range beyond the limits of the city and the valley beyond it. All of it in that subdued, muted colors of the diminished sun. Even here within the room, they have the torches lit, and it is midday. So you know that at this point there would be no need for torches even with this large window open. But you can still hear light, and you can still hear the birds outside. It's not a completely scary darkness, but it is just an odd darkness. He takes in your words. Curious, these things that you have said to me. Pythia to be. It is much to consider. And shortly we will go with King Xenophon and we will speak to these prisoners. But before we do, are you thirsty?
Would not say no to the king. Yes, please.
He goes over to a pitcher and pours himself a cup, and then sets it down for you, and then pours pours you a cup and then pours himself a cup. And he takes it. And he's not like, when we think of kings, we usually think of like fancy garb and like all of this like flowing robes and gold jewelry. He and King Xenophon do not dress like that. They have a bit of stateliness to them, well-oiled beards, well-manicured hair, but they also wear they're Spartans. They wear armor, and their armor is well maintained, and that is where the obvious difference between a Spartan warrior and them comes in, that their armor looks like top notch, right? He even now looks like he could be ready to jump into battle, like full armor. He leans kind of up against the wall with his cup as he like looks outside into the fortress. I will admit that I have brought you here for counsel. You see, I am aware that the humans are not happy with our shared state of the city. The the hobgoblin's superiority. And I wish that there was something that I could do to help balance things in their eyes. I'm well aware of facts. The hobgoblins are faster, they are stronger, more disciplined. They simply are more of a lot of things, and thus they hold a lot more sway. They serve more in the military, they protect our people, but from the things that you have said and the things that have been reported to me, I find it harder to manage the jealousy of our humankind, and the darkening of their spirits. Of that Orcos spoke well, and to a point. Surely a wise Pythia such as yourself could have seen something in humans, or perhaps even a weakness in the hobgoblins that I do not wish to divide us further. I wish to close the gap. But so far, we as a people are wanting. I know that humans are far from perfect, but there must be something that perhaps I can share with and uplift the spirits of my people. That they too might be lifted up, not seen as lesser than, but equal to.
Themisto carefully considers what she is about to say. King Menandros, you speak of the superiority of the hobgoblins. You said that they are faster, stronger. Though, as I have walked your city, I have seen the difference in the way it is that they live compared to the humans here. This difference perhaps leads to those things, as the humans do not have as much of a chance to grow fast and strong as things are. I would say there is a no born strength that they have that the human people do not also have. What I would caution, though, and as you said, Orcos speaks to this dissatisfaction with the people, is in this time with the sky is dark, it is not a time for division. It is not a time to look to turn against one another, but to work together. I notice, if I may be so bold, even within your own hall, it seems you and King Xenophon do not have a way of speaking to each other which allows for these sorts of grievances to be aired. I would say perhaps your first chance is in speaking to him. Perhaps with his support, the two of you may find another way. On my way out of the palace, I saw something. A group of turns. One arrived on the sill, holding a small bundle of straw. Two more appeared, and they took the straw from it and flew away. Now, it pursued. There are ways to consider this. It is my thought that change is coming to Sparta. But it will be up to you and Xenophon about the nature of this change. Will it be a one turn stealing the straw from the other? Will there be pursuit and conflict? Or will it be 2 turns carrying the straw together? You see, this cooperation is possible, but I do believe it has to start with you. And the people right now, they are scared. To expect that it will come from the masses when we see the sway that Orcos held. I am not certain of this.
I see. And this brings to mind another matter that is concerning to my heart. Why would King Xenophon hide the existence of this cult of Phobos' presence in Sparta from me? Does he not understand that I too care for my people? Think I have something to fear, that Xenophon will try and use this human upstart to make matters worse?
I think he senses the same tension that you do, and suffers from the same thoughts that perhaps he must go and silo himself rather than creating a beautiful wine of these 2 grains of your people. You sit in your individual granaries. And perhaps right now one amphora is nicer than the other, so there will have to be more giving from one side than the other. But Sparta does not need more death, and I am afraid that is what will transpire if it is not handled with care.
Of that I agree. Thank you, Themisto. You have given me much to consider.
If you would wish me to attempt to mediate, to be a third party with you and Xenophon, if it is not too much. Of course, the Pythia's conversations between her and her goers is confidential.
As I would expect and hope. But I appreciate your honesty and forthrightness in keeping the peace.
You asked for something that you could tell the people. Tell them now in this time of change when the sky is dark. Now is the time to unite. And the prayers, unite in the things they all do. They all offer the prayers at the temple. They all enjoy the theater here in town. And these are common things between all of Spartans. The might, the heart of the Spartans is renowned. A soldier or housekeeper alike.
Yes.
That common spirit. Hold on that.
Yes, I agree. Okay. You spoke of this, the house that the cultist had taken. You left it with guards, yes?
Yes. Yes, we did. I am concerned that perhaps whatever is drinking the sun at this time may have Well, I don't know, but there may be answers in the caverns below that we have not yet found.
Well, until we find them, I will send a detachment to go and make sure that there's no one that will stir things up to make it worse. You will make an excellent Pythia one day, I believe. Despite whatever challenges might come your way.
Should the people have me, and when we bring back the sun, of course.
Of course.
Thank you for your kind words.
It is nothing. To Sparta.
To Sparta and Greece.
There is a knock on the door. And a soldier opens the door and steps in. As he opens it, you see it's just not a Spartan soldier, but with a like a big heavy beard. It's like, King Xenophon is ready to speak with the prisoners. Pythia, Menandros, your presence is requested in the prisons below.
I wait for the king to respond first.
The king's like, Themisto, please accompany the guard. I will be down there in a moment. I have to speak with my general to go tell him to send some men.
Certainly, King
Would-
Menandros.
I will meet you down there. I know the way.
I turn to the soldier. Will my companions be there as well?
He just looks at you and looks at the door, at the hallway, and then like nods for you to go. But doesn't give an answer.
I go through the door.
Going through the door and into the hallway, he closes it and begins to lead you down the hallway. As you walk, let me switch this to this. You walk down the hallway without looking at you. He kind of leans his head a little bit. I am sorry, I have not the answers you seek. I merely am coming to take you to the king, where he awaits. It is my understanding that it is going to be a private meeting. Do you wish me to fetch one of your companions?
I
Do-
can have but one.
It is going to be within the prison space, and there is not much room for all. Plus, we still must ask the king if that is acceptable.
Of course. Well, it would do my heart good if Phoebe could be with me.
Is she a warrior?
Yes, she is.
Where did she train?
And, in Corinthos at the Temple of Apollo.
You're joking.
No. Apollo is a god of music and foresight, but also is very fierce. I'm sure you have heard the stories.
I have, though I have not heard of any military might coming from a temple of Apollo. No disrespect to this friend of yours.
She is closer than a friend, but I have to say, you should go see the Corintreia sometime, the festival they have in Corinthos. There you could see their stuff.
If I ever find my way up that direction, I will make sure to keep that in mind. By the way, he looks around. When did you discover your Orphic talents?
I am sorry, are you of the Iron Shadow?
No. I am of Olympus.
Hmm.
Oh, I am sorry. I forgot to introduce myself. I met your companions earlier. I am Hermes. But
Lord Hermes.
the masquerading as Spartan for now.
Oh,
For now.
this could be a keen trick to play on a priestess. Prove to me you are Lord Hermes.
You would ask a proof from a god. You are a bold priestess indeed.
Lady Hecate would have us believe that all of us are gods in a way.
Lady Hecate would have you all believe many things. Not all of them are true. But if that is what you wish, then a proof you will have. Is not that correct? And as he says that, you see there is a double on the other side as you now find yourself between two guards. It's like, no, that is absolutely correct. And then you see that both of them are like mirror imaged identical of each other. And then you hear a third voice behind you going, nope, they are definitely speaking the truth. And as you turn around, you see a third of like the same person. And as he stops in the hallway, he kind of like nods down to his side, and you see that at his side, where there is a sword on one side, there is also a staff, or not a staff, a like almost like a cudgel, like some sort of like not a wand. I had the word last time, but it's just a stick, but not of wood. It is a rod. There we go. He has a rod that is hanging on his side with wings on it. And you notice that as you look down in that direction, on the wrapped feet that he has, you also see that there are embellishments of wings on them. Though no, like, literal wings, but you see embellishments of such things.
Yeah. This is proof enough for me, Lord Hermes. And she's gonna bow.
You spoke
To
of
all of them. She's gonna kind of turn around.
like doctor,
Though I am not sure which to address. I suppose some people sometimes have that problem with me too, and her snakes are gonna kind of go.
It is truly a miraculous sight to see a Gorgani once again.
Yes, I am learning.
As I said earlier, I mean no disrespect to your companions. I'm sure many of them possess many intricate talents. This that we are about to do, however, is going to require some delicate proceedings, as I am not going to be showing my true identity, but merely guarding and watching and learning. The king, so far that I have seen, is not very trusting of you or your companions. Neither of them are. This Menandros. I do not know if you have the gift of sight as much as some of the rest of us do, but he was testing you. I believe you passed.
I hope it was true. I strive for truth. It has been hard given our mission, but still, the purpose of the Patea is clear.
So, I'm sure. At least take advantage of the fact that it is clear for now. The Theas of the Path have not been so lucky. Their paths are rarely clear. And if I am to understand things correctly, they have both lied to you. Though what the actual truth is, I do not know, but I do know when someone lies.
Mm.
Keep that in mind. Not that I wish to cause more confusion, but watch yourself. I will have
Perhaps I am not totally equipped for this world of politics. Even better it would be if my companions could join me for this meeting then.
As I said, I am not going to be able to help you with that. It will be up to the kings to decide who is going to be there or who will not. At the very least, they might be somewhat present, but not within the room.
Okay.
That gives me an idea. Come with me. Let us make haste, as I'm sure Xenophon is curious where you are, and we do not wish to delay the king.
Of course. I will follow you, Spartan soldier who I do not know.
May call me Hermes. Hermes of Sparta. Surely there can only be so many of us, eh?
It depends on how well loved you are here in Sparta, I imagine. Are there many children named after you?
A handful. Not mine. And he continues to lead you. And as you continue to walk, you don't know at what point, but eventually there's only one of them. And you are led down to the depths near the catacombs where the others are, but now in a separate section, as this is where the dungeon is. To say that these quarters are cramped is somewhat of an understatement, as they kind of seem to have now that you have gone subterranean and more into the prison section, it gives you the vibe of not necessarily like these spacious, well-constructed dungeon spaces that we see in a lot of medieval. It's almost like they dug trenches into the ground and then just kind of like shoved bricks into the mud walls and the dirt walls. And so there's not a lot of like space. You're kind of having to go single file. And there's a couple of guards that you pass that you kind of have to like wait traffic wise to like, oh, this person has to fit into this alcove here, and then they continue forward, and it's an interesting maneuvering. But eventually you get to a somewhat larger space, by like it is about 6 feet wide. This one hallway in front of a large wood and iron banded door, where King Xenophon and one other guard who's holding a torch sit and wait. King Xenophon, I have brought the Pathea to be as instructed. She has requested that her companions join her for this. The king turns to you, raises an eyebrow. Your companions? Why?
They are a piece of myself. We go together and we all have different strengths. We may be able to discern different things here as we question Orcos, or as you have questions of us. I am striving to be wise, but a wise person knows that they cannot know everything.
This is true. Will these companions be accompanying you everywhere you go for the rest of your life?
I don't imagine so, but as I have them now, I would like to be able to make use of their advice as much as you make use of mine.
I wish to make use of the advice of the Pythia, not those who she drags along behind her. You may have a companion join you in this chamber, but the others, I'm afraid, I do not trust them. I barely trust you.
You see this sort of openness in speech that he did not have before. Make an insight check for me.
I will. Question. May
Right.
I fetch my real dice?
Yeah.
Which, in my current state, you can see that I was a little bit unprepared.
You're good.
I will
You're good.
be back in
Yeah.
just like under a minute.
You're good. You're good.
So, this one time at Sparta Camp,
Laertes been to Spartan camp?
Laertes has always been. Laertes is Spartan camp.
Laertes is a founding member.
Yeah. He basically
well, he
did.
makes do with basically nothing. So, yeah, that's pretty Spartan.
Ha ha ha.
You
ha.
get your Spartan Scout badges at Spartan Camp.
Lol. And this is where I went to the Agoge.
Lovely.
That's what I assume we're going to start calling the down below under Sparta. It's not the basement, it's not the catacombs, it's just the Agoge. Enjoy.
A Goge. I don't like where that sounds like it's going.
Okay, do you remember in 300 when they throw the kids to the wolves and all that? That's the Agoge. That's their coming of age practice of you learn how to be a warrior, you learn how to fight and kill and survive, or you don't. That's the Spartan way according to that story. If you live, you graduate.
Yeah. Congratulations. I do remember seeing aside from the 300 bit, I do remember seeing some of that in Odyssey as well. Like you go to there's like a whole little side quest where this kid's like learning something and then he goes up to the mountains and you have to like save him from wolves or something along those lines.
He can't save himself. He's not worthy.
Well, you're not Spartan, and he kind of, if I remember correctly, there is a little bit of that kind of a conversation that you have with him where he's like, "Nah, why am I worthy?" He kind of runs away and does it again so that he can try and prove himself.
Got him.
Nice. Get those dice.
Dear viewers, I have been traveling. It is nice to be home. But there was still much to do
So
in the
much
workplace
to do.
of Iskra, aka the Mysterio. And thus I did not have my dice, but I do now, so I'm rolling an insight.
Yeah, we're rolling to the inside.
I am rolling. How's a 17 sound?
17? Okay. There's definitely a difference in his demeanor and even in the way he carries himself. There you figure with this high insight there is King Menandros that sits before his court, and perhaps even King Menandros that sits alongside the other king. And then there is King Menandros that is a one-on-one, and his one-on-one is closer to his true self. Whereas before, there always felt like there was something that he was hiding.
Mm.
You remember him being very hard to read, very like stoic in such a way. This is, there is no parsing of words here. He is saying,
And you mean to say Xenophon, yes?
yes. Did I say Menandros? I meant Xenophon. I'm sorry. So there is this just whole other persona, but this feels more to be the true Xenophon.
Thank Mister's character sheet because my dice did not roll high. It was the insight that she has that did it.
Nice.
You may choose one of your companions, and they may accompany you, but they are to stay silent until spoken to. Is that clear?
Yes. Yes.
Which companion would you have join you?
I would have Phoebe.
Phoebe. The golden-haired one.
That is, well, there's two. The one who is a woman.
Oh, well, yes. I'm not speaking of the Theban. May I ask why?
We both follow Apollo.
I see.
You can see that he is like rolling things over, and he kind of studies you, and like he's reading your like every expression as you speak, every little detail. And just kind of like also strokes at his chin a little bit, just like turns to the guard, aka Hermes.
Go and fetch the one that she speaks of. Make sure that she is understanding of the regulations we have placed for her to be here in the private chamber with two kings.
And Hermes just nods, looks at you, and with eyes that almost say, "Told you," and goes down the hall to go fetch Phoebe. The king, as Hermes leaves, and you find yourself here. I need something else. Also, hello Raiders, welcome. Good to see you. Fancy seeing you here. Okay. Let's see. He turns to you and says,
Both I and Menandros are going to watch. We have trained much in the way of learning how to read our opponents. Both this Orcos and Ilsoa we have seen, though we have not spoken to yet. I would have you ask the questions. It would give us the opportunity to divine whether they are telling the truth or not, and then I am curious to see what you understand of what his answers may or may not be.
I see. Then I shall do this.
We wish to know simple things, where they hail from, how he came to know his master, what his intentions are or were on inciting the human quarter as he had. And how many members of the cult are still at work within our city? Do you feel that you can do this?
I harass these things, yes.
Excellent. We will await your Corinthian friend.
He just kind of stands by the door and crosses his arms and just seems to like zone out for a minute as he just seems to be thinking.
Themisto ponders the trials that she's heard of. Most don't take place in Delphi because it's more of a sacred center and a sort of an ancient tourist hub. But she's heard the stories of great speakers trying to figure out the truth.
Okay. The rest of the gang, as you are in the undercrofts and slash underbelly of the place, Hermes comes to find you. I believe you guys had still been in the catacombs, right? Because Hecate was preparing that body for, or had, oh, actually, she had,
Green flame.
Disintegrated.
yeah, disintegrated it.
You're just there in the Katamari.
There in the Katamari.
She cast reverse Damasi?
Hermes comes back into the room as you guys had been kind of conversing amongst yourselves for a minute with Hecate. Sorry to interrupt, but I am to bring Phoebe with myself to the interrogation of Orcos and Ilsoa. You are to be allowed inside the chamber whenever they are questioning the prisoners, but you are not to be not to speak until spoken to. Is that understood?
Understood, but just me.
Just you. The king's barely allowed that as it is. They seem to be testing Themisto and her abilities as a Pythia. Both of them have curious ways of doing it, but they are testing to see if she is truly going to be worth the time and effort, I'm assuming. Spartans do not waste time or effort in many things, and parlaying words is one of them. If Themisto is truly going to be a Pythia, and if Sparta is going to aid and back her, they must be certain.
I'll do what is asked then.
It will be difficult. I can tell you that now. I found it difficult to withhold myself, but that is also me being a free spirit. I will chance this. Hold on. Where did I put it? He digs around in one of his pockets, pulls out a pouch. Here. He gives a small pearl to Laertes, Cyprus, and Oretino. Hold this in your hand. Keep it closed. Now, you will all follow me, but I will leave you in a room close by. This will allow you the ability to hear what is happening. You may not be able to respond, but at least you will know what is being said within the room. I do not expect there to be any sort of trouble. Both of these prisoners have been rather docile, it seems. They don't look to be starting any trouble. Plus, I don't think they can get out anyway.
Safeguard is appreciated, though.
Thank you.
No one can
And-
be. What were you gonna say?
And Phoebe, if you do find yourself unable to hold your tongue, and I would not blame you, make sure it's snappy, and I'll throw you a bardic inspiration for the road.
V8.
Yes.
I'm almost more worried that the Spartans will start something than our captives.
They are
They tend to think
Spartans,
very highly of themselves.
and with good reason. All right, are you ready?
Let's go.
One quick thing I'm gonna do that's very, very silly. Aaron, you'd have to allow a certain amount of jiggery pokery for this to work. As I would like to, at level 3, give Fortune's favor to Phoebe, but I can give it to a second person as well. Can I time delay that so she gives it to Themisto?
Do you have to be able to see the target?
I think I have to actually physically touch them, but
Oh. Yeah.
Maybe Phoebe can touch me and like
yeah, it's like,
pass it
here, can you
on.
give her a hug?
Give this to Themisto for me.
Just a little contact,
suppose.
like static shock. Oh, I'm
Laertes
suddenly
wanted
lucky.
me to kiss you? I don't know.
I never said anything of the sort. This is a procedure. There is
Laertes
nothing
says hi.
romantic about it.
Sure.
Okay.
I will allow the
Laertes is
passing on.
fuming at the pearl in the other room. He's like, I didn't say that.
This is my first time to get Fortune Savers, that one reroll.
It is. And the mist will get it too.
Neat.
Based on Aaron's generous rule.
Assuming you can touch her.
Okay.
She'll just have to give it like the high five.
Sup, babe?
Okay. Okay. All right. So, okay. Hermes leads Phoebe and the rest of the gang back down towards the dungeons beneath the fortress palace of Sparta. He finds a smaller, like, it's like containment room, a smaller room which would generally also be used as a prison cell, but is currently empty. It has a very ragged looking like bedroll and some hay that below it. It kind of gives you the the prison cells that you see in Skyrim everywhere in underground. It's just like it's like hay,
Yes.
a blanket on top, and that's your bed. And that is it. That's kind of what this is.
I need to know one very key feature of this room, or I will lose all immersion.
Okay,
How much cheese is in the room?
one wheel. And there's also a sweet wheel on top, a
One
sweet
cheese.
roll on top. It's a wheel of cheese and a sweet roll, and there's also some butterfly wings that are on top of the sweet roll.
Is there a bucket to put on a guard's head?
Only if you can hold the button down and mess with gravity enough to figure
One
it out.
singular
I think I
cheese,
can
as in
make
the
gravity
unit
work.
cheese.
Beautiful.
There, King Xenophon can't see us anymore.
Where did everybody go? Okay,
Blind leading the blind indeed.
love it.
You can also see the bucket he's wearing during cutscenes because they didn't assume they would change his outfit.
All right. So, oh man. You go and you get to the room. By this point, Menandros has also joined you. By the time that Phoebe and disguised Hermes returns, and you see Themisto there, Phoebe. You guys say anything to each other? This is before you enter into the prisoner's room.
Okay.
So, this is the like antechamber beforehand.
I will go up and just put a hand on your shoulder and say good luck. And I think you can feel something as Laertes' magic like transfers into you.
I always feel something.
Do you have a reaction to this, Themisto?
She'll smile. She'll blush a little. She's happy. Phoebe is there.
Okay.
Yes.
But as soon as Phoebe does that, she's going to step back and kind of almost stand at attention. Because after being told that this is a test for the Pythia to be, I'm treating you not as Themisto, my love, but as the Pythia to be.
Okay. All right. You, both of the kings watching you very intently, then turn to Themisto, and Menandra speaks. We have already, told you the plan, yes?
Yes, that is right. I will ask basic questions of the prisoner, and perhaps all together we will come to some sort of truth.
Excellent. He looks over at, go ahead, what are you going to say, Phoebe?
Just that since I can't talk, I want to be like running, like inciting the prisoners this whole time. And if I just need to make like one general insight roll at the end of the interrogation, I could do something like that.
Okay, well, we'll do that.
I think my passive insight is 16, if that helps.
Yeah.
But I can also still roll. if you
We'll
need that as well.
we'll do a roll at the end, and then whichever one is higher, we'll use that.
Cool.
All right. You go and go into the room. As they open the door, and the kings go in. Well, actually, they let the Pythia go in first, and then Phoebe, and the kings follow. And then the guard Hermes follows as well. And he posts up by the door with like a big spear, hand on his on the hilt of his blade, ready for the slightest movement. Before you in the room, you see two individuals that are standing, also strung up, as they have ropes that are tied through some of the metal bindings to kind of hoist them from the ceiling, as it were. So they're not quite like they're not like hanging, but they are hanging a little bit. Like their feet are able to touch the ground, but they are definitely being suspended by the ropes that are holding them tight. And you see Orcos and Ilsoa both. Interestingly enough, both of them look a little banged up.
Well, it would follow.
You see the Orcos eyes, both Ilsoa has her eyes closed. She looks like she's asleep, and then she kind of looks up, sees you guys, rolls her eyes, and then kind of like closes her eyes, looks off to the side, like she's gonna try and go back to sleep or whatever. Orcos's eyes slowly go from the ground up to face Themisto. The kings speak first. I know both of you are aware of who we are and who we bring before you. You must answer the questions that the Pythia asks of you truthfully, or we will know, and we will have you slain. Is that understood? Orcos looks over to Menandros, who's also not that he's been like jolly grandfatherly with you, Themisto, but he did have a more kinder demeanor. But now he's gotten like serious mode. Very much also kind of reminds you of the change in Xenophon as well. Though it's not directed at you this time, it would seem. Both of the kings have hands on the hilts of their sword, and they stand to either side of you and Phoebe. Xenophon on your right, Menandros on your left. The room is lit by a couple of flame braziers that are sitting on the ground on the corners of the... Basically, the light's behind you, like facing inwards. So the braziers are closer to the door, but on those back corners sitting on the ground. They're like little bowls of fire. So the shadows kind of like dance and move behind them. Orcos looks at you expectantly.
I will start out. I will touch. Was I allowed to bring my sword in with me?
Yeah.
I will touch the sword on my side, and not saying in anyone in particular, but announcing to the room. Yapalo, although the sky is dark at this time, your son hidden. Please bless my words that I must say, or that I may say what must be said in this time, and we may arrive at truth. And so I'm going to use my other channel divinity of the day, or the short rest version of it. I've got one that I can use long rest, one short rest, to do a knowledge cleric ability that I have. Knowledge of the ages, to grant me proficiency with any skill or tool for 10 minutes. And I'm going to add proficiency to my deception, which I don't currently have, just in case.
Okay. Very nice.
And you are Orcos of the Cult of Phobos, yes?
Yes. I am Orcos of the Cult of Phobos.
You consider yourself a good citizen of Sparta?
One of the truest.
A good man, then.
I would like to hope so.
And yet... Oh.
No,
Someone's gonna say something.
No, I was just gonna tell Cypress, Laertes, and Aretino that you were. I'm assuming you all three still holding onto the pearl. So, are you familiar with the? There's like a certain type of headphones. I think they even use them for hearing aids now. They're in like even in glasses that it doesn't transmit sound like the normal way. It uses bone on the side of your head to translate. So it's almost not that you necessarily hear it in your head, but it's through vibration, more so than sound being injected into your ear. As you are clutching this pearl, you can hear the sounds of the conversation that is happening, as Hermes is acting as a transmitter right now and transmitting to you all the sounds that he is hearing. And you can feel it. It's almost like you can feel it in your arm the strongest, but you still hear it in your head. but it's almost like you have a speaker placed on your arm and you can feel like the vibration of the voice like carrying through your arm and your flesh and bone. It is a unique experience. Laertes, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I feel like that would really mess with Laertes because he's already in a somewhat frailed, flop sweaty kind of state. So his already trembling hand is probably doing it a little bit more. But he's distracted by the fact that now he's trying to reverse engineer how to make that work. So now he's just focused like, that's neat. I don't need to worry about that.
The Misto, go ahead.
I believe my companions in the general and I would disagree with the way you feel about your character.
That is unfortunate.
As unfortunate as what you and the cult did to the people of Sparta.
What? Fed them.
Mm.
Gave them morsels of truth.
Fed them with what?
Food. You see, as you say that, Ilsoa, who is asleep, her eyes open and looks at you.
Ilsoa. Good morning. I was just asking Orcos what he fed the people with. What the both of you fed the people with.
We've fed them with food.
What sort of food?
Stews, cooked meats, and delicious bread.
And where did you get these meats and bread?
There is the sound of tightening leather, and you can hear the kings collectively gripping their sword handles in like death grips, as it were, as they like clench their fists around the handles. Orcos is the one who speaks.
I would. Can I interrupt Orcos?
No. Go ahead.
As I see that he's about to speak, I would remind you, Orcos, and that I have been to this place, and that you did these things. I have seen everything that I need to see. It is best for you to speak truly now.
We fed them with what Sparta provided.
I am being direct in my questions, and you are running around in a circle. Come to the heart of it.
In the end, it does not matter. These men will have me killed. Whether they say they will now or not, it does not matter. I have done what I came here to do. And it was to try and liberate the Spartan people from their own oppressors that they find so dear to their hearts.
Huh. If you see death as liberation, then I suppose you have succeeded.
I suppose I have.
So you admit you killed Spartan citizens?
Only the most foolhardy. Those who would have caused the people of Sparta the most turmoil and problems in the long run.
How can you say this when it was you who spoke against the kings, who spoke against the gods, who, when the sky turned dark, You told people to turn against in these centers of support, these pillars of our society.
Me and you have spoken heart to heart before. Pathia to be. You know as well as I that the gods are false. I could see it in your eyes as clearly as you can see it in mine.
My questions from our earlier conversation remain. You know more about why this guard darkens than you let on.
Yes. I do.
Then if you are going to die, and it does not matter one way or the other, tell me now.
He looks over at the kings. One and then the other, and then to Phoebe. He looks at you, Phoebe, and his eyes smile before his mouth does. Whoops. Hold on. Move. Boink. Okay. He looks at Phoebe and says, I remember you from the square. You are one of them, are you not? One of the same imposters? The kings both look at Phoebe, and you see Menandros go. And then, but you see Xenophon raise his eyebrow like, hmm? Do you say anything? You're muted. Oh, okay.
Yep. Is that them asking a question?
That was Orcos asking you a question.
No, but the raised eyebrow.
There was just
Because I was told
not to
be
say
seen and not heard.
Good. Menandros is shaking his head because I'm just using this as your like passive insight thing for inferring that Menandros is saying don't respond. Xenophon is just not so much like asking for a response, but seeing if you have one.
Okay. Then I will not respond.
Nice. Orcos looks over at the Misto. Yes. The darkness will continue. It will persist. And it will continue to grow across the entirety of the Greek realm. There is nothing that you can do to stop it. There is nothing that any of you can do to stop it. Even the gods.
And what is the heart of it? Though the sky is dark, the table of butchery I saw in your home would perhaps be darker.
Perhaps. Only Lord Hades, I guess, could answer those questions now. If he actually did what everyone believes him to do. It is the will of Lord Phobos. His will be done. As we prepare the way.
It sounds as if you speak so plainly against the gods, and yet you have chosen another.
He is no god. He is just a man given great power. And he uses it to take down those who have claimed otherwise.
And those like the kings of Sparta or the hegemon of Athens. Or perhaps the queens of Thebes.
Yes. It was not always Spartan. I came from Athens once. I would see it brought to justice the same way as I would see the rest of the world brought to the justice it deserves. You will all see in time.
There was a room, a passage
Yes.
below the furrier's shop.
Yes.
Where does it lead?
Underground.
Could you repeat your answer? There was a disturbance in the space-time continuum.
It leads underground. A
And
cistern.
a cistern. And for what purpose do you use this cistern?
Bring water, of course. For sustenance. Do you wish to go see it? I highly suggest it.
There is nothing else that lies down there. A black ichor that stains the passage. What of that?
Curiosities abound in this time, do they not?
Yes, and this curiosity bears a similarity to the beasts that you summoned. Is it not?
Harbingers. A taste of what is to come. I hope you are prepared for more. There will be far more soon.
Okay, so Themister's going through the checklist. She's like, okay. He admitted he killed Spartans. He admitted he summoned the beasts. I haven't got him to say what's going on with the sun. But he also admitted that he aims to take down rulers across Greece. So at least there's a pretty strong reason for the kings to not be too charitable with him. That's good. I also initially asked whether he considered himself a good man and a citizen of Sparta to try to get at whether he would deny being either of those things, in that, like, is he a fragment or is he just a guy? So what did you do to Ilsoa?
Looks over at her. I have done nothing.
Fine. What did your cult do to Ilsoa?
Ilsoa, well, who's been again pretending to kind of sleep. She gives me how many are familiar with, like, first few seasons of Game of Thrones? Okay. Do you remember there was that one with the Starks? There was that one, like, house servant lady that she had been from up north. I cannot remember her name.
I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of gives me that sort of nonchalant.
She's a mad bitey lady.
Mad bitey lady. Yeah, kind of. She's kind of crazy, right? She gives it she's a lot smarter than she looks, or she's a lot smarter than she acts or lets on. But she kind of uses that wild I'm from the north kind of crazy vibe to her advantage when it suits her. And this is kind of Ilsoa. She goes back and forth from being like this insane tiefling lady while also at the same time being a lot more viperous than she lets on for most of the time. So for the most time, she kind of has been acting very much like, yes, I don't really give a crap about any of this. She now looks and snaps her attention to Themisto.
I do not like when people assume that I am not perfect in every way that I can be. All the court did was bring out my very best behaviors, my truest self. Can you say the same for yourself? Or are you too busy hiding behind the lies that you tell to those around you?
Is this why we found you with a bloody greatsword in the room where the people were butchered? To bring out your best self.
She licks her lips very slowly with this forked tongue.
I am a chef at heart. What can I say?
The Misto's snakes raise for a moment and hiss at her. You said you made promises to the cult in your delusion of rampage that you were on. What sorts of promises exactly did you make? You enumerated them. You said many, but you did not say what.
She looks to be about to open her mouth, and Hermes, in disguise as guard, comes over and puts a hand on your shoulder and goes, "That is enough." Both kings turn to look at him like, why are you speaking? And he looks at both of them, moves his hands one to each shoulder and says, "Hold and be silent." And you see both kings freeze. Frozen in moments. He comes around them, standing kind of between Themisto and the prisoners, and looks to you. Where am I going? This one. Okay, we have but a few moments. Ask the real questions. Do not bother worrying about the kings. I will take care of them. If there is something directly, we must ask them. I am done playing these mind games with these creatures. They are to be taken to Olympus, where a true interrogation will take place. But in the meantime, get what answers you seek now, but do it quickly.
I will do this.
He nods, stands back a second, takes the rod off of his hip and places it he crosses his arms and just starts like tapping it.
Minaya runs to Thebes. Where in Thebes does she go?
Who's Manea? We do not know. I do not know.
Enough of this. I'm going to allow my snakes to bite Ilsoa.
Ooh, okay. You ought to take a step up, and she just kind of like.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna like
back.
do the snaky
walk?
intimidating sort of up. Yep. Yeah, let's have her make a Constitution saving throw, please. Since I imagine it hits automatically because she's restrained.
Yes. Definitely for sure. Oh, wait, this is the wrong. I keep pressing the wrong one. This I need, and then her, and then she is. This one, Constitution saving throw, is going to be a 13.
Meets it, beats it. So she has succeeded, sadly.
Filthy things, get them off me.
But I rolled deception. It goes, you know, my snakes are venomous. You may not have much longer.
What? What do you mean they are venomous?
Yes, I'm gonna smile with my fangs out.
She rolled a 10 on her insight.
Let me deceive. Cool. Well, it's much higher than 10.
Okay.
I will say that. I rolled a 19 on the die. Plus my 6 buffed deception.
Beautiful.
As a priestess, I could stop this. But you haven't given me much reason to.
Nor will
I assure you it will be slow and painful.
That is fine.
Let me begin to tell you how your body will contort. How you will begin to bleed. First, perhaps a nosebleed. And then from your ears and your eyes, your fingernails will start to fall off. Your muscles will lock up. All of these things over a day or two. But you will still be in there. And then when you cannot scream and your insides are pouring blood, well, I am sorry, but it is probably about a week still until you finally succumb.
And all of this without you even buying me dinner.
You worship a cult of fear. Huh. I can inspire it. So come on, tell me.
Where she goes, I know not. Sure, Thebes. If that is what you want her to, go to Thebes.
Orcos, would you care to save your servant?
No.
You see.
She looks over at him
like
like,
the cult was not your savior after all. Well, if you can tell me that or what is drinking the sun, then I suppose I will leave you to it.
she looks at him like hurt, but then he looks at her. You know what awaits us both. Be strong. They are panicking. They do not know. They do not know what awaits them. What awaits them all. Maybe they will be lucky enough never to find out. Never to see what true fear looks like.
If you will not bring the sun, and then I suppose we shall replace it ourselves. Phoebe, show him what you can do.
I will.
Hermes
I'll
looks...
go. No,
Go ahead. No, go
no,
ahead.
let
Go ahead.
Hermes go.
No, I was just gonna say Hermes looks to you both. Make it fast.
I'll just unfurl the full celestial wings. Actually, no, yeah, I'm gonna stick with classic ASMR in that way instead of flipping around.
Okay. the solar wing, the solar
Actually,
fire.
hold on. I'm going to change my mind one more time.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm going to do the inner radiance one, which is bright light in a 10-foot radius and dim light an additional 10 feet. And okay. I have to read all my new stuff. It doesn't say creature of my choosing. It says each creature.
Correct.
So I don't want to hurt Hermes and the Misto. So I'll just do the wings then.
Okay.
My bad. Sorry.
No,
For
you're
the
good.
indecision.
No, you're fine. The wings burst forward out from your back. These solar flare looking like from the, well, not that either of you have seen the surface of the sun, but we have, sort of. We've seen these solar flares as they erupt from the surface of the sun. And it's that same sort of like fire that like folds outwards and like grows in magnitude to become these large fiery wings.
And I
lighting
imagine
up
since the space is so small, they kind of just like keep furling in on themselves, and it almost makes like a cycle of like that solar energy.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you think you can stop Apollo then? That is funny.
We already have. You have pretty wings, Phoebe. But they are nothing in comparison to him. And he has already been diminished. What will you do when true fear strikes you? You make very grandiose claims, and I will admit your speech to Ilsoa was something deserving of a second look, perhaps. But you have not experienced fear the way that Phobos can make you experience fear. I can already taste it on some of you. Just inklings of what may or may not be the anxiety that runs through your blood. You're afraid of your power, aren't you?
I have another Gaze of the Gorgon left. I would
Yeah.
like to use it on Orcos.
Sure.
So we're looking right at one another. Please make a wisdom saving throw, Orcos.
Wisdom saving throw for Orcos. That is going to be 18.
He beats me. Sadly, I am a young Gorgon. I don't
I'm only a baby
do
Gorgon.
that super good yet.
You do have.
Phobos died over 1,000 years ago. Even you don't know what you serve.
I have met Phobos in person. I know who he is. I have seen his face.
If you are so convinced, then tell us so we may meet him ourselves. Where indeed should we go? If you think that we will be proven wrong,
Go to Thebes. He will make himself found to you. Do not worry about that. He kind of like sets himself up and like just closes his eyes, awaiting whatever fate is supposed to come to him.
as much as I just want to kill this guy,
Yeah.
I won't rob the kings of Sparta of their justice. So I will not drive this sword through him, though
You
I
could-
would like to.
Hermes looks at you. Is that all?
He
We have-
says he's already found Apollo.
And that is worrisome. But
Yeah,
We
can
will
I
have-
hardcore specifically insight check that?
you can. But Hermes is going to continue with what he's going to do.
Okay, that is a 19.
He's telling the truth. He does not at least appear to have any facade of a lie to what he has said at any point this whole time. Hermes shakes his head. Time's up.
I'll drop the wings. Go back to standing at attention.
He goes to the kings, puts his hands on either side of their head, and puts his fingers together and pulls outwards. And you see these strands of glowing energy that flow from either side. And as they flow into the air, he turns to both Ilsoa and Orcos, takes his rod, places it on each of their foreheads. You asleep, you to sleep. And both of their eyes just kind of low back, close. He goes over, goes back to the threads. The questioning went as expected. You will remember everything that was spoken of before I cast this spell on you. Then you have also decided that together you are to send both Ilsoa and Orcos under guard to the city closest to Olympos, where they will be handed over to the priests there for consecration and cleansing. You have both agreed to this decision unanimously and wish to see it done as soon as they are able. He pulls the strings.
I wish to bring peace between the peoples of the hobgoblins and the humans in Sparta.
He pulls. He kind of looks at you and just kind of shakes his head with a smile as he puts the weaves back into their brains. He goes back behind you. Themisto and Phoebe whispers into Themisto's ear. You are very impressive. I will make sure to pass this along to the father. And he then
Was he
steps
saying
back.
that just to Themisto?
Yes. He backs up, gets back into formation, and the kings kind of like come out. He's like, I release you. And both of them like relax. Ah! So I knock everything over here. They both relax. They look to Themisto. They look to the both prisoners, heads bowed. Well, I think we've come to a good accord. These people need to be saved as best as they can. The poor, unfortunate creatures. We will find someone who is capable of leading a small contingent of soldiers to Olympos. The priests there will see that they are properly tended to until they are... Whatever happens to them beyond that is not our concern, but they will no longer be here in Sparta.
It is wise of you to consign their fates to the will of the gods.
Yes. We thought, they both say, we thought so as well at the same time. They both look at each other like, weird.
It is nice to see such agreement.
They motion for the guard, and Hermes opens the door and allows you and Phoebe to exit, and the kings follow you as well. The guard on the outside bars and locks the door from the side, then stands in front of it with the torch. Well, it would seem that we have still some searching to do in the city, just to make sure that there are no more traces of this cult, to try and calm the people. I'm sure they are still curious what happened to their very vocal spokesperson. We'll prepare a speech for this afternoon. The rest of you, if you wish to rest within the palace, or if you have your own place here within Thebes, within Sparta, please. Will you join us this evening for a meal?
Were they addressing Themisto?
Yeah. Themisto and Phoebe.
And this was Menandros?
Yes.
Mm. With the cult admitting they wish to move on other cities, I have to think that perhaps we should move quickly. I don't know if...
We will send.
A meal with kings is, of course, to be honored, but I do worry.
Of course, and it is good to worry. We will send couriers at first light. It is already past midday. They would not be able to reach any of the other cities before night falls. And as you know, currently, being out in the wilderness at past dark is not going to be... Well, we cannot be sure that those messages will ever arrive. Best that they have the first day's light to get anywhere.
Of course. That is another wise choice. In that case, we do have some things to attend to within your city, but we will return for a meal.
Excellent.
Thank you again for the invitation. I am honored.
Of course. It is the least that we can do for you having brought us this to our attention as well as a resolution. We will see you this evening. They both kind of file out and walk past you as the guard / Hermes says, I will take you to your companions. Please follow me.
I give a bow to both of the kings, respectfully, and then follow the guard. Hermes of Sparta, a wink.
All right. As you are led back to the chamber with your companions, and then also led up to the main floors of the palace, we will go ahead and go on break there so that I may take a drink of water some more, and then we will reconvene now that everyone can be back together, having heard everything that was spoken. Even if it was through a weird sort of pearl walkie-talkie. And we will be right back. Okie dokie. See you in a minute.
See you soon, everyone.
We're.
friends.
I was trying to say we're back in the way of like Tony the Tiger, and it just my brain broke, and as I was trying to do it. We're back, but it doesn't really have the same.
We're present.
Yeah, fair. Okay. Beautiful. You guys meet together. And as you are brought up to one of the main entry halls of the city of the fortress palace.
On the walk up, I will tell the Misto how good she did.
Hermes guard Hermes turns
Hermes?
to you all. Turns to you all as you all turn to him as he says, well, I have some preparations to make. He looks over at Aretino, squints a little bit. Do I know you from somewhere?
This is Hermes.
Yeah.
Probably.
You look
I think
familiar.
so. I get that a lot.
Well, I must speak with Lady Hecate, and I'm sure we will be talking with you again soon. He gives a little bit of a wink and then walks back the way he came to the Undercroft area. You guys are free to do what you like.
You scorched them, my rising sun. I only wish I could have got more out of them. Oh, we will find Apollo yet.
I'm afraid that he is so convinced they have already.
That may be in our favor. You remember on the beach when they looked at you and said, "We found you, Apollo." Who's to say they haven't made a similar mistake?
Regardless, I still would like to try to fix the sun here.
Did Hermes ever give a hint as to what the source of this darkness might be?
I think he is trying to determine it, just like everyone here. Though, I have two thoughts. Perhaps we should consult this seer, this friend of Lady Hecate's. We went to her home, but we were not able to meet. As one who is supposed to see myself, I would like to know what she has to say. So too, should, when we are rested, we should return to the furriers. I hope that the guards have taken away the deeds of the gold there, but we should go down to the caverns. Orcos seemed too proud of whatever it was down there that he had.
I agree with both of these notions.
Me too.
What else did you all glean?
Aaron,
I
was
think
there... Sorry.
I think we have even more reason to go to Thebes than we did before.
Indeed.
Unfortunately, the vast majority of these cultists seem to be not only without any regret or remorse for what they've done, but so convinced that they've already won that anytime we've tried to get information out of them, they've simply laughed or been too insane to give us any information.
Perhaps next time, as I started to do at the end, we start to use their pride against them. Phoebe, you look like you have something on your mind. Speak, my love.
Aaron, was there anything else I picked up from insight checks during that conversation?
Ow, cramp in my calf.
Wow, he kept screaming about his cramps in the middle of the interrogation. It was super weird.
Okay, hold on.
Eat a banana.
Oh,
Phoebe
yeah,
sensed the
okay.
fourth wall breaking.
Everybody get down.
There's no use. We haven't invented potassium yet.
Lord. Okay. Other than, well, go ahead. You know, we never had you roll, so we'll have you roll.
Mhm.
Ooh, that
Is a 23.
You also have the super duper roll from Laertes still, if you wish to try to get even higher.
And I believe
I'll
you
add
had
my
the
bardic.
D8.
I'll still save. Plus a 1, 24.
Pew, 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 pew. All right.
Sorry, Bard. It wasn't that snappy thing that I
Okay.
said.
You, through most of it, you were riding the waves of emotion that you could kind of sense, and it was 100% belief in what they were saying. The sadness and shock of not sticking togetherness that Ilsoa had a little bit of the like, oh, she's just gonna leave me, but then also the look of someone who had their faith renewed in a moment of doubt, where suddenly they were like, I can't believe he would leave me. And then he said, he's like, we both know what awaits us. And then you could see her face change again to where she kind of like renewed, but she was definitely scared, worried, but was trying to play it off as not being worried by Phoebe's poison threats.
Misses.
Sorry, yes, Themistos's poison threats. So she definitely was afraid of it, but then trying to pretend that she wasn't. But the whole time, Orcos remained steadfast, believing in whatever it was that he was saying. Like, 100%. No doubts. He remained as calm and as resolute as he had when he was speaking to the crowd. And it is that unsettles you the most, because whether he might be telling the truth or not, he believes it with all of his heart. And the crux of one of my favorite ancient, what's it called? When something doesn't make sense. Oh my god, I just read this article today. Anyway, the statement of this, literally in quotation marks, this statement is a lie.
Paradox.
Paradox, thank you. My favorite paradox. And it's like, if you think that it is not a lie, that it itself is lying, then it contradicts the fact that it is also telling the truth that this is a lie. So it's just kind of like one of those like circle things that's supposed to break your brain. And that was in that sense of like, there are things about what he said that you feel like are lies based on the truths that you know or that you think you know. And then it is in that makes you kind of uneasy, if that makes sense.
I think a Ventru told me once that the truth doesn't matter if the lie is believed to be true. Something along those lines.
I want to
He's
say
so
I'm very
proud.
proud.
Yep.
Oh, after all these years, one of my players is learning something. It's just, oh,
We may not get to play tomorrow, but I still make Grim happy.
that's one.
Wow,
One
she gets
gold star?
good points now too.
They negate the bad points.
So I'm at level playing field. I'm at 0. So
I'm not.
anyways.
Anyway, crossing the streams. Do we still have the pearls, or did they just like dust away?
You still have them.
They don't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
They look like regular pearls.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that'll be a thought for later.
I mean, he is a messenger god, so.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you something to try and reverse engineer for later, because I have thoughts.
Laertes invents the spies murmur confirmed.
Or at least ham fist the ham radio. Breaker. Go for Hermes.
I mean, it is one of those things that walkie-talkies were designed you have to hold it in your hand, so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
I have the conch.
I think going back to the Weaver's home is a good idea.
I feel if there's any use you have for me this evening, perhaps tomorrow, Hermes has recognized me, which means I may be roped into another trip to Olympus sooner or later. Somebody's got to take these people up there.
Another trip.
So
Can I inside check Oretano?
You can try.
Have we Paladin Goldeneyed him yet? That's a 15.
It's my dice.
We've been traveling with the actual Dionysus this whole time.
Broanisis.
I rolled more than a 15.
So what do I insight?
You sense no deception, at least, about the use of the term before.
Are you going to respond to any of the me going, oh, before? Or are you just going to kind of like move on with the conversation?
I think I'll kind of make eye contact with you and give you like a little bit of a wry grin.
Hard to read.
Out of character real quick. So Hermes didn't take the bodies, right? Or take the
They're still chained up.
prisoners. Okay.
Because the kings have decided on their very own, with nobody else's help or anything, that they're going to have them taken to Olympus.
A thought is striking me. Just because Orcos could summon up creatures out of someone else doesn't mean that it couldn't be done to him. What if bringing him to Olympus is just unleashing something there?
That could be possible, but if we were able to handle 2 of them, 1 will not be an issue.
Both prisoners are going. We
Statement
don't know
holds.
we don't know what's been compressed in there.
And no, things could be different, but I think as far as we've seen, someone has had to actively summon a creature out of a body. So if there is no one there to interact, to summon the dark magic.
We've seen the summoner be within a few feet of it, so not that it's not possible, but at least the 2 times that we've witnessed such a summoning.
Themisto thinks back to a third time that she's seen creatures burst forth, and it was when the herald on Polyeros forced her to see a vision of the past. And when Beltura was wreaking havoc in the chamber after Dr. Aura got a little careless. And so she will speak up. Despite all this, I share Laertes' caution. I'd like to know if it is you who escort them, please. Be very careful. Perhaps do not bring them directly before all of the gods at once. Use every possible precaution, please.
We have procedures for dealing with things like this.
We did learn.
Divine sense. I imagine Cypress has done this before, and I think you've described how we all kind of glow as well. I'm pretty sure. But I don't know if he ever described if there was a different
Oh, like
glow
is
coming from-
Oregano particularly shiny?
Yeah.
It's like, but sparkling in the same way that champagne is sparkly.
Perfect.
He's fizzing.
I'm effervescent when you look at me.
Remember, if he's not actual Dionysus region, it's just sparkling Orphic.
Oh no.
That's good. I like that one.
Sparkling Orphic. Okay, you tap into your sense of the quote unquote divine. Oregano glows, but no more so than your companions do.
Why did you say we? Also, you definitely would have seen Cypress just check you out if you were looking at him.
He both checked you out and checked you out.
No.
No.
Now,
One
give
of
us one of
those.
these. Give us one of these.
I have worked
Spin?
with Hecate and her kin on many different tasks, projects over the years, much as you.
It has been about
That's-
weeks.
I was gonna say, I was like, that's when you're like, right? You guys have done more than this, right?
Right, this is not your first time out, is it?
It has been exactly 16 days.
Well, I guess welcome then. I've been doing this for about 15 years, so welcome to the club.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, which one?
It's more of a metaphor.
I'm assuming you guys are
The one
walking
who
to
would
the
be upset if I said anything
Mhm.
otherwise would be Aphrodite.
Yeah, I think we're walking through town to get
Yeah.
back to
Yeah.
the Weaver's house.
Sure.
We've been
yeah.
Aaron Sorkening it.
I was
through
literally
town,
just about
I
to say
imagine.
we're sorkening.
But yes, my concern comes back to just because we've seen other people summon it out of someone else doesn't mean that they couldn't trigger word themselves.
Something to be cautious of.
And it was something that cost everything to contain once.
And they seemed quite fatalistic.
If I'm correct and they have spotted me and do want me for this task, I can assure you that every possible precaution will be taken.
I don't
Thank you.
trust that
Aretino.
smile at all. And I don't know if that's David or Aretino.
Why not both?
I was gonna say,
He's hard
Go
to read.
Retina.
But we have a weaver to speak to, do we not? Or
The Weaver's daughter.
the child of a weaver.
as you make your way into the hobgoblin quarter,
Hobloggin.
you pass through the quote unquote cramped and stacked buildings that are, for lack of a better term, somewhat nicer than the human quarter. They still have that like plastered, squared like design to them, that's the same as the human quarter does, but this definitely seems a little cleaner. It seems a little more put together. It's just nicer in general. And there are definitely a decent amount of hobgoblins on this side, more so than humans. Although you do see that there are a few humans who walk into their abodes, but it doesn't look like anybody here particularly owns a villa by any sort. You get to a point where, as you are going, you enter a small square where there's a couple of, it looks like a mini bazaar almost. And it is here that you see a little girl sitting on a stool in the corner of, like, at the corner of a building, just kind of like looking out over the people. And she has her like a little hood on, and she, as you guys are like talking, walking past, she goes,
Themisto, how was your speech with the kings?
Is this an Aarakocra girl?
no, it's a little girl.
A human girl?
The Mistro will turn and smile and crouch to get on the girl's level. And she will say, you saw my speech with the kings.
And the result afterwards, yes.
You see a young girl who looks probably about 7 or 8, black, curly hair, eyes completely white.
And how should you think I did?
As well as can be expected given the circumstances. You did very good. A good first step.
I thought so too.
You were coming to see me, no?
And that's right. I have a lot I could learn from you, I think.
Maybe. I'm afraid I do not see as much as you, though.
Perhaps in the world around me with my snakes, but I think you see quite a bit more.
Are they friendly?
Most of the time, yes. Very.
May I pet one?
Of course. I'll
You have
take
your hood on, right? She just reaches her hand up towards the side of your face, almost like she was gonna like caress, and just kind of reaches past, so that you, as you were like about to pull your hood, she just kind of like, she shakes her head and then just, without guidance, just slides it between hood and face, and allows one of the snakes to kind of like twirl, go
it
over,
comes
like,
down and does.
yeah.
Yeah. It'll swirl
just-
around for a moment.
She just smiles, and then pulls her hand back.
Your companions are all here with you?
Most of them.
Minus
There is a
the one-
sailor.
Minus the one that you left in my house.
Two, in fact. And there is a sailor too. She could not come with us. Someone she loves is in trouble.
No, they're not.
Oh,
Are you hungry? You've had a long day, and, well, I know you haven't eaten. But wine? On an empty stomach? Miss Stowe. What would the priest say?
it was a formality with the king. I had to accept, of course.
Menandros loves his wine. Come on. Papa's getting us ready some food. She gets up from her little stool and grabs her stool, and you see there's like these little leather straps, and she slings it over her back and like puts it on like a little backpack. So she's carrying this like little 3-legged stool on her back as she like pulls herself close, her clothes a little closer, and puts her like she's got like the what's it called? It's not like a cloak hood or a hood in that normal sense. It's almost like she has a long scarf that she wraps around her head.
Like babies use sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I did mean to say as we started to leave that Laertes, I was going to offer you my arm as the walk through town since I know you're still looking pretty rough.
Yeah, like he's at full HP despite everything, but because he's just used
for
damn near
energy.
every spell slot, he's just. Oh, look at that. No more heavy head to carry. Just gonna lean a little bit on someone.
I'll be that person.
Mm-hmm.
She continues to walk.
Themisto starts to think about if I become Bethia one day, I will need to have someone succeed me. Or maybe she can do the job better than I could.
She leads you through the quarter and to the weaver's house that you had seen before. Once she gets close, she looks around and then gestures for Cypress to lean down to her.
Cypress really leans down.
Are we being followed?
Cypress will look.
Make a perception check.
You're asking the wrong person, kid. That's at -1, a 10.
Hey.
You look around. You can see the people that are walking by. Goblin merchants, soldiers, human merchants. You spot a small gaggle of old human women and immediately feel suspicious, but it passes. And then they don't see anybody else that looks like you're being watched or anything. She before you answer, she just kind of nods knowingly. Okay.
There are some. Wait, no, never mind.
The sword comes out of the sheath just a quarter-inch. No. it's fine.
And the old ladies hide their daggers in their blouses a little deeper.
They're just really intense knitting needles.
They're called stilettos.
Beautiful.
I think this is my favorite aspect of Cypress.
Oh my god.
I can't wait for Hera to be the ultimate villain of this whole thing, and he finally just goes, I knew it!
You are led into the house, and indeed, like she had said, her father has indeed prepared a small snack tray of various goods. She goes, I will be right back. I'm going to go put my stool away. And then she takes the stool off her shoulder and goes without, and she navigates as if she can see, even though she does not look where she is going per se. She still stares directly in front of her, but she seems so very familiar with the house around her as she travels.
I want to see her beat up a man and go full Toph.
I was thinking more Paul Atreides in his elder years, but that works too.
Considering we didn't have dinner because what was provided was people, and had only a very light breakfast because we felt like we really needed to get the ball rolling, the Misto is very appreciative of the snacks and is indulging.
As you guys are eating, she comes back. No longer a human girl, but a young Aarakocra. Forgive the disguise. When I am sitting and offering words of wisdom, I would prefer that the people not see my true face at times. You know how that is. She looks over at the Misto.
I am sorry you feel like you have to hide yourself.
I do not do it out of a fear of danger. Not for myself.
My darling, we are very beautiful as we are.
I know. That my father tells me that my feathers are beyond compare with anyone else in Kemet. And I believe him. But then I do not want people following me to my home. I do not want them to bother my father for my words of wisdom. What I offer them is for them alone. I do not wish to drag my family into it.
You have a lot of wisdom for one so young.
It is a gift. So I am told. And I do believe. Mostly. Do you enjoy the cucumbers, Laertes?
Why, Aaron? Does that feel very, very pointed for some reason?
You were in the middle of taking a bite of some sliced cucumbers.
Was I? What now?
Sure.
What? Okay. Oh, little cucumber sandwiches like we're having high tea. Cool.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I'm into it. It's good. Thank you. Refreshing after a long day of that.
You have done a lot.
Then I'm sure you also see how never quite feels like it's enough.
It never will. Sometimes, when I wish to share wisdoms and knowledge, sometimes I wish I could tell them everything that they need to know. But then they will never learn. Not truly. But I have not spent so much time in the company of such interesting people. She kind of hesitates as she says that and is like looking over towards Oretano. Filled with such life and diversity. Heritage unlike anything this world will ever see again. And filled with such undying devotion and love. She looks towards Phoebe and Cypress. I may not be able to see your faces, but I see enough to know that you all are truly special. Every single one of you. But you need to rest. You have a lot that is coming. Ma'al went out for shopping. She had gotten bored and she gets very stir crazy. Plus, I think she's just a little crazy, period.
Laertes genuinely laughs, but he has to sit down as he does it.
Phoebe tries to hold in a laugh, but is unsuccessful at keeping it quiet.
She will be back this evening.
She's not going to need some help, is she?
She never actually needs help. She just likes to see who would offer. Or who she can get to help her.
Meaning she's not going to run into trouble on the way back.
Oh, no. She should be fine. Provided that she can keep her mouth shut. Which is...
Oh, one of us should find her then.
Davos, Xanthis, would you mind going to look out for Mal, please?
I was going to suggest Aretina.
Then there's a guarantee for trouble.
I was actually trying to remember if Davos and Xanthus were still with you guys or not. Don't think they are.
I don't see why they wouldn't be. Oh, were they just getting debriefed by the general?
Yeah, because they had, once you guys had gotten back to the palace, you guys had kind of split ways.
Okay, so Davos, Xanthis, I'm so used to them being nearby. Never mind.
Maybe they'll run into her on the way back.
Davos is coming to the house. He will be here this afternoon. Xanthus is following orders. But they will be here by tonight.
Sorry, out of character, what was her name?
Oh,
I don't think I don't
we,
remember if I gave it.
we did get it.
Did you? Okay.
Yes,
been
it
a while.
was. It was something in Kemet. Because
Oh, those are my
It
papers.
was, yeah. It was Kamedish.
Oh yes.
Ursurt cow? I have it written
Yep.
down, but I don't know how to pronounce it.
Usurt cow.
Usurt Cow.
This girl?
Yeah, Usurt cow.
Mm-hmm.
Usurt Cow. Sometimes, as seers, things come to us which are difficult to see, troubling. I have a desire to ask you something, but I don't wish to cause you to see some of these things, especially as young as you are.
She just kind of purses her lips. I appreciate your concern. But the things I have seen would be enough to fill 3 lifetimes. And I have not fully begun mine. Do not worry about me.
Do you know what it is that brings the sun, or where we can find it? It is very important. That is why we are here.
You have already... You know where it is. You have seen its lair. You need not seek it any further.
Thank you. Even Themisto still tears up a little having asked her that question, even. She knows what involuntary vision is like.
I'll pull your head onto my shoulder as you start to tear up.
Smile. At your back.
You said lair. We
Takes
found its lair?
Yes.
Under the ground.
I guess we better get ready to go retrieve it.
She just smiles.
Yes. Usord, your father is a great weaver, and Phoebe has lost her favorite scarf. Do you think he could make a new one for her from me?
Here you go. There's like a small bundle that is like wrapped over, and it's very obvious. It's like almost like having some sort of cloth that is wrapped in a handkerchief kind of thing, but the top of it, the outside of it is almost velvety looking, even though it's not velvet. It just has that like shimmer quality to it, and there's four pieces that kind of the four leaves that kind of overlap, and they have it looks like there are 3 loops, and the bottom one has a like a pearlish a gem of a button, and then the other leaves kind of like fit over it like a button would, but they just kind of like it closes up like a 4-leaf square.
If you were to stand to be Petea, I would surely lose to you. Thank you.
I would not be chosen, but I appreciate your confidence in me. It is going to be your job, not mine.
Mr. Wall, I hand the bundled scarf over to Phoebe because I am sure I chose something beautiful.
The Usur nods her head. Mm-hmm.
They'll unwrap it.
Whatever you envisioned is what lays there before you.
Envisioned, you say?
Mm-hmm. Ha ha.
Well, if it was from Themisto, what would Themisto have picked?
Gotta make me put me on the spot.
No, we'll pick it later. It's fine.
Well, we did talk about it being blue and green like the Mr. Snakes. So it is going to have that quality to it. And we'll discuss the rest of the details.
Sounds good. Okay. As we'll say for the next couple hours, you just kind of rest and relax. Usurt doesn't. She kind of just starts to ask a couple of like childlike questions. There's a lot of things that she probably could see if she wanted to, but she wants to get your responses from the places that you have seen, where you have grown up, what you liked about the temples you lived in, what the color of the stones in the Palace of Thebes look like just descriptors of the world that she will never see.
I know I'll definitely tell her about Odessa and how Odessa would try to get her to use her sight to get into mischief, but avoid the trouble that comes from getting into mischief. But how she would want to be her friend.
She kind of just laughs at that and doesn't comment on it one way or the other.
And I'll talk about going into the forest behind the temple. and running around playing there, playing like I was going to be adventuring with Phoebe.
What with for the next afternoon before the sun sets? What are some things that you guys would like to do, if anything?
I would add on to that if possible of if Laertes ever gets asked every place that he's been, I'd say walking into a classroom in Ilum, first as a student and then as a teacher later, would have been profound moments for him.
Mm-hmm.
Humbling both times for different reasons. As for what he's going to do, if this is we're taking a break, a little afternoon siesta because the morning was rather fraught.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to try and spend some time giving himself a new problem to work on, and he wants to see if he can reverse engineer how the pearls work, or if they were just completely inert objects that were just symbols for Hermes. Like, are they just pearls on their own, or was there something mechanical or magical about them that he's trying to discern?
Okay. Well, okay.
And if he can make use of them in some way for the group.
Okay. Phoebe?
If it's not too far away, I would like to go to the Temple of Apollo briefly.
Sure. For sure. I'm just trying to get an idea of who's doing what, and now I can put it in the right order. Themisto?
Sounds good.
I want to ask Retino if I want to ask him something.
Okay. Cypress.
If asked about places he's been, Cypress describes Thebes, and in very unlike Laertes, who was probably able to make the mundane very eloquently put and beautifully upraised with a proper vocabulary. Cypress often finds himself unable to express artistic awe when it comes to the way that Thebes is in terms of its structures and its art and its people. Being a primarily elemental city, the buildings are just made different. I won't take too much liberty in case you have different things planned.
No.
But how,
sir, you have already made an island out of a place that is landlocked. So you know what? you do you, boo.
Okay. How the structures are very similar, but there's different color and there's different matter making things.
Mm-hmm.
The earth elementals made the roads. The earth elementals tended to construct the buildings, and they would usually literally erect them. There would be some adding on in certain ways. They didn't just raise them entirely from the ground, but that's where the structure came from. And fire elementals would make beautiful metals and glass and all these different frames and windows. Air elementals filled the air with music and all these different sounds. And water elementals, in much of the same way, were in and out of the oceans, or the whatever made the place landlocked.
On the beach. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But also just things were inherently different. There's plenty of similarity, but when things are when literally your own body is made up of an element, the way you approach art and the way you approach life is different. And when someone says, I made this with my bare hands, that usually implies that they used tools in a masterful way. Whereas, like, with a master fire elemental smith, they did make it with their own hands. No tools. They, like, would breathe on it. They would shape it with just their own. Maybe they'd have an earth elemental hold it and grip it, but tools are far less just necessary in Thebes. But after going on and feeling like he was not doing a good job properly describing the place, eventually Cypress goes to a place nearby enough of the rest of the group and intentionally sits in a place where he can be easily found and easily contacted, but is beyond everyone's immediate sight. And he thinks about the stuff that he just brought back to his own memory, and also thinks about how the worst thing that could happen is either headed there or already there. And he tries to deal with that for most of the afternoon.
Fair enough. I like it. I'm gonna do this. Themisto, Oretino, Phoebe, Laertes, and then we're getting back to Cyprus.
So we kind of had like a Uncle Owen's sort of pit situation here at the place.
Yeah, it goes down from the main storefront. It goes down, and it is like there's like just little side rooms that have like curtains, cloth curtains. There's a big living space that is like sunken down and lit with that beautiful like mosaic glass lanterns.
Oretino, would you stroll with me for a moment? I let the food to digest.
Of course.
Thank you. I will be right back, everyone. Yes. So, as we're walking, after we get a little bit away from everyone else, the mister will say, I think I caught something when you were using some of your magic one time. A glint of scale, almost. In just a few days, I have discovered that not only am I not the only Gorgon, but that I am a Gorgani, an ancient people. Is there something of them that lingers in you too, or perhaps you learned from them?
It could be possible. There's a old story that our family's passed down for some 40 generations now. If you would believe the old tales, and I choose to because it's more fun that way. Shortly after the fall, our family has a legend of some great, powerful, scaled creature settling on the island of Malta, from which our line is apparently descended.
Truly.
Well, yes, and well, I do have the scales, occasionally.
You do?
And I'll just, like, undo a few buttons and, like, there's, like, a big patch of that kind of same bronze-colored scales.
The mister's gonna grin. Thank you for sharing with me. It's funny, even when I look at, say, Maal, I feel a sort of kinship, you know?
Yes, I suppose. Yeah, even with Maal. Ugh, that old lizard. She just needs to relax. Her life would be so much better if she just relaxed a little bit.
Perhaps all this work she does is her way of relaxing, you know?
Hmm. She could use lessons.
So, and this what you say about stories, I'm inclined to believe the truth behind them too. I always did before, but now that we've been on this journey, well, it turns out that they're not always what I expected, but more or less, it is there.
There's some truth in every story. I've yet to meet the person who can completely fabricate something.
Thank you for letting me know. I won't keep you from our companions forever. Or the reveling, of course.
I am looking forward to maybe stopping by the theater and getting some wine.
I promised Phoebe before we were together that I was going to take her on a date there. Or not Spartan Theater in particular, but a theater.
Spartans are lovely people, but their theater is a little bit dry. Always obsessed with the fighting and the violence.
It's just like
There's a time and a place.
It's like Spartan Wick the whole time
Yeah.
on repeat.
It's like once you've seen one Spartan play, you've really seen them all.
Yes. Well, at least I'm happy to say I have never seen a Spartan play. So if we do get the chance...
It might be worth it.
Of course, we do have the sun to think about. And I imagine I'd be saying that as we reconvene with everyone. So we just did a little loop around the pit.
You say that. We're going to hold there for a minute. Phoebe. Go to the temples. They're not too far. You know where the you're looking for specifically one for Apollo, right? Now there is the big temple that is it's gonna be about like a 15-20 minute walk because it is south of the
Palace.
the palace. So you could have that one. I'm sure there's probably like statues and little shrines along the way that are closer. So it's up to you if you want to go to the actual temple or if you just want to go to the closest like Apollo shrine.
Let me go to the big one.
Okay.
We've got some time.
As you are going, or as you are getting ready to leave, Usud says, "Watch for the apples." Like just casually as you're leaving. And you kind of just take it as a like, okay, sure, watch for the apples.
I'll definitely keep an eye out in that kind of way where you don't know what you're looking for.
And I will say that it's one of those like, as you are going, you will see a vendor that's selling apples, and you kind of it's that like like a quasi comedic moment of like you looking at the vendor and the vendor looking at you, looking at him suspiciously, like, and you kind of just pass and you're just kind of like, you're like, you want an apple? And you're just like, just keep it going because it doesn't seem like there's anything that like pops out for whatever reason, but still you're like, all right, whatever. You go and you see another vendor and fruit vendor, and they also have like a small basket of apples. You stop and you look at it, and you look at the vendor, and they're like, "Good day. Can I interest you in some fruit?" No?
If they have any figs, I'll get figs, but not apples.
Okay. You get some figs. Like 5 silver. You get like a whole like big bushel of figs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're walking and you're just like, such a strange thing for this girl to say. And then as you're walking, and do you eat any of the figs or are you saving it for later?
No, I'm gonna save them to share with the Misto.
You hear you passing through the crowd, and you get to a point where there's like you kind of have to meander around some people a bit because you are getting closer to the temples and there's a lot of people there. Someone gets pushed, and you hear the "oh no, sorry," and then you see the dum, dum, dum. You see 2 apples fall to the ground from this lady's like basket. What do you do?
All right, who is this lady?
Just looks like a random lady, but her like looks like she was carrying groceries, and some of the apples fell out from her basket of stuff.
I'm on alert. There is a fragment of Baldur on the loose. We know that Nagoosh shapeshifted.
Mhm.
I cannot do what Cypress does, but I'm gonna stare and see if I can get any kind of read on this woman.
A fragment who was specifically last seen going for groceries.
What do you do? What are you doing? Like insight or what? Perception?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm best at insight.
Well,
Oh, and I do still have the do I have to take the second one, or is it basically just rolling with advantage?
Rolling with advantage as far as I understand it.
Perfect. Okay, 17.
17. This lady looks older, about in her early 50s, maybe mid 50s. She has her hair shawled, in the typical style of like Greek matrons, basically. She doesn't look particularly wealthy. Kind of probably mid to lower class. This human woman. She grabs some thing, puts down her basket and puts the apples back in her basket, and like picks it up, and then she looks at you. She looks at your face. Where did you get that dress?
Honestly, I don't remember.
You wouldn't happen to be from Corinthos, would you?
Why do you ask?
My sister was from Corinthos. She had something very similar to it, and for a moment forgive me. My heart leapt for joy, for I thought that I was seeing my sister. But it is not, and I do not mean to bother or offend.
No, it's all right. I could listen about your sister if you need to talk.
You do not need to hear about my sister. We don't even know. I'm sorry. My name is Brice. What is yours, child?
Phoebe.
Phoebe. It's a beautiful name. Are you going to the temples?
I am. Would you like to walk together?
If you don't mind an old lady walking with you, then I have a few offerings to leave the few different shrines, trying to cover all of my bases, of course.
I know all the gods appreciate it.
I hope so. She walks along with you. Shifts her basket onto her other hip, and like in that way that some women walk, like offers her arm to just kind of like comfy walk with each other.
I'm going to the Temple of Apollo.
Oh. Apollo. probably going to be very busy. I hope you're willing to stand in line. She looks up at the sun, brings her shawl in a little closer. Oh. What bring I do not mean to pry. But are you from Corinthos?
At one point.
What brings you to Sparta?
A long story. But right now, let's just say I'm following a girl.
Oh, I see. It's not too far of a walk from Corinthos to Sparta. But you definitely chose an interesting time to arrive.
Phoebe will look up at the sun. It seems so.
Oh dear. Did you not bring an offering? Here, wait. Let's see. Well, I was going to present these apples, but now they are bruised and dirty, so let's not do that. I have, a little honey. Would you like some?
What if it's not too much to give it away?
No, nonsense. Tell you what, when you offer your prayer, she hands you the little jar of honey. Mention my name. That would be the payment enough.
Remind me, Brice was her name, not her
Mhm.
sister's name?
Correct.
Is there anyone else I need to speak for in my prayers? Perhaps your sister?
My sister is long gone, I'm afraid.
I'm so sorry.
She died when we were very young. Part of the reason why when I saw your countenance, I thought that I had seen my sister once again. A lot of you reminds me of her. And I do miss her sometimes. She would have hated seeing the sun like this. She was always one to be outdoors whenever the sun was out. No, just a minute.
I don't know if it's too much to ask to incite this part, because I think Phoebe is seeing herself falling down this path, but is scared and is trying to like catch herself. Because there's still a lot of suspicion for everything we experienced this morning.
Yeah.
And you can totally say like, no, you already incited her. Like,
I mean, what are you trying to incite?
just, am I being manipulated?
Okay. Just trying to see if there's like some malicious intent behind what she's saying.
Because I still like Phoebe's insecurities and fears are still regarding like her family. Is this something related to Baldora playing on that?
Okay, make a insight check.
A 21.
21. Okay. Nothing about what she is saying seems malicious in any way. She seems very earnest in asking and questions. Just you saw the pain in her eyes when she had that like the joy, then quick pain of like seeing you, and then like coming to terms with who she was seeing, that it wasn't. So a lot of the emotions that she has been talking about or portraying have also matched what you have read, as far as like being able to see her, whether she's telling the truth or not.
What was your sister's name?
Demeter. Rather bold, I know, to be named after a goddess, but my parents were very devout. And as I said, she enjoyed being outdoors, so it was somehow soothing.
I will say a prayer for her as well, that in the afterlife, Apollo's light can still reach her.
It is very reassuring to see someone so devout. There are many in this city who do not.
I think uncertainty can either drive us deeper into our faith or chase us away from it.
I would hope not the latter. Well, I will leave you to your prayers now that we are here in the temple. I must go and feed some of the hungry mouths that I have at waiting for me at home. May the blessings of the mother guide you. And she kisses like the side of the top of your head.
May Apollo's light shine on you.
She continues to walk, leaving you at the foot of Apollo's temple. It is indeed very packed, and after probably a little bit of time, you do make it inside to offer your offering and whatever prayer you wish to make to Apollo.
As she makes her way up to the front to set the honey down, she started to silently cry a little bit. Apollo, I don't know if that meeting was your doing. If it was fate's teasing, laughing. But I could feel your light in it. I hope that what Orkos believes to be true is a lie. And that you are still safe and tucked away. I still miss you. But I still want you to stay far away. We will bring back your light. No matter what it takes. And she wants to stay here the rest of the day, but is not going to spend a lot of time because it is so busy.
Okay. We're gonna hold there for a second. Laertes, as you are going over, looking at these little pearls and ritually casting Identify and I'm sure Detect Magic.
Probably just identify at that point. I don't have to go through the whole detection part of it.
I don't know. With Identify, they are both things. They are both manufactured or made specifically, but they are also pearls. There is something of, so it's basically like someone had taken a pearl, or Hermes had taken a pearl, and then altered the substance within to receive a message and resonate it, basically. So it is both an actual literal pearl, but then it has also just been altered on the inside to be a receiver of some sort of an arcane message. It doesn't allow for any sort of like broadcast back, but it allows you to at least send a message there to it.
So would there be a way then to kind of treat it like the message spell, or what's the cantrip one?
Message.
Is that message? And then the other one's sending, right?
Sending,
Is that
correct.
okay?
Correct.
Would there be a way to See, I'm thinking of this in like a very technical way, but I'm also thinking of a very nerdy way that some of us have played. Mass Effect with the whole quantum entanglement communication screen there. Trying to find some way of using a way to talk through them in such a way that, like, I speak into this one, you hear it on the other one, and can respond back. Is what he's trying to do in a very... I have no delusion that this is work. It's more just a case of, like, he needs a project at the moment. And he's just trying to see if he can make this work that might be useful for the group.
Okay. Probably with some more work and tinkering, there's probably a way you could do that. You could see the potential, like, benefits of if someone was to hold onto this. With sending, you kind of need to know the person to a certain degree to kind of like be able to send it to them. But if placed on just anybody, you can use this as a like way of either
I'm inventing the KGB.
Either a way of
we have ways of making you talk, and
Yeah.
that's just letting you talk while I'm not in the room.
There's a couple of like different options of like things you could do with it with some more tweaking.
Okay.
Um,
So I never get to actually show this part of it, but he has his little satchel, and he's going to take out his very archaic tools, I would imagine, but things that he's either found from the old world, cobbled together, reverse engineered. Some of it is what he would have used to actually make his little crystal in the first place. But they're his tinkering tools, and there's a part of him that's rather enjoying the project of the things floating in the air in front of him, and it's spinning in place while he's making these little adjustments or taking out little calipers to figure out something very particular about it. And he's really quite enjoying himself, and it's allowing him to sort of decompress a little bit from the morning to take some of his worries about later and then just compartmentalize, putting them over here. This is something I can at least work on. This is something I can maybe solve now. And everything else can kind of just sit for a second because there's nothing I can do about those right now.
Okay. Love this. I love this.
The bane and benefit of being a little bit of an obsessive workaholic in that way of he always needs something to tinker with, something to work out a problem of,
Right.
to something to sit and understand.
Okay. As you're working on this, we'll hold for a second. Going back to Cypress. As you had gone out to kind of like think about all these things, you're sitting at a like small bench, we'll say, watching the people that kind of walk by outside of the house, the Weaver's house. You hear a voice behind you. Is this seat taken? It's Davos.
No.
Do you
Feel
mind
free.
Do you mind if I sit?
And Cypress will make sure he scoots over enough.
Do you mind if I sit?
Not at all.
Sits down. Looking down at the ground. Is everybody okay?
As far as I'm aware, everyone went off to briefly go do some things this afternoon. We're going to regroup later.
I wanted to give you something. And I want you to let me finish before you say anything. He holds his hand out like this. He opens it and drops 2 platinum rings in your hand. These were a gift. A payment, I guess, that was given to me when I had saved some merchant of oils from bandits, and this was what he gave me as payment. We have spoken before about how there are similarities between us two. We both yearn to be with someone. I was intending to give one of these to this one that I long for, and I hesitated. And I didn't, and I kept them with me. And now I'm over time finding that this person does not deserve what I believed that they had. And so I figured maybe it's best that I give it to you, to give to somebody that deserves it. I saw something earlier that made me worry for you, Cypress of Thebes. You are a very kind boy. You have a good heart. And though some would make a mockery of it, you have a softness to you that is different than anything we have here in Sparta. The one that you long to be with is truly blessed to have someone like you working so desperately hard to return. But if I may offer some advice, don't let vengeance or brutality get in the way of that kind heart. Our world is filled with cruelty as it is. There is no need to add to it, especially here in Sparta. So take these rings, blessed by Aphrodite. Hopefully they will serve you better than they did me. And takes his giant meaty paw and puts on the back of your head and pulls you close and kisses the side of your head. You're a good, well, one day you will be a good man, Cypress. I am blessed to have seen you this far, and I hope that I will continue to see how you grow. Okay? He pats your knee and starts to stand up. And at this moment, Phoebe, you turn your back to the altar and start to walk away, and you hear a collective gasp as a streak of golden sunlight pierces through the gloom on the Temple of Apollo and begins to spread. Cypress, from where you stand, you can see the darkened sky begin to fade away. melting as if clouds were beginning to dissolve. And both you and Davos kind of stare up at a sky that is beginning to get harder to look up at. Themisto and Oretino, as you were walking, you had mention of sunlight. It's as if the clouds have parted, and you see light begin to pour down across Sparta. Laertes, as you are looking up at the tinking, twinkling thing, your eye suddenly gets blinded. as light that has filtered in from mirror to mirror strikes the lantern in the center of this sunken chamber and begins to fill it like a multicolored, not moving disco ball of light that kind of just shimmers everywhere.
So everything would drop into my hands quickly into satchel, and despite that he's a little wobbly, he makes his way outside.
From each of your perspectives, you can hear the crowd erupt in a cheer across Sparta as sunlight returns and the pale darkness begins to shift away, revealing a bright blue sky and a sun that once again burns to look at.
Themisto drops to her knees with happy tears this time, like Joan of Arc seeing God.
Beautiful.
It's a powerful moment for her.
Mm-hmm.
Next to you, there is some awe, but with an undertone of concern on Oretino's face, who's just kind of standing there, trying to look directly into the sun, but realizing that's a bad idea.
Phoebe will turn around and look up at the statue of Apollo.
Is it Davos Davos still there?
Oh yeah, he's right there next to you.
Cypress, through a choked voice, says, "Are you done speaking? I don't want to interrupt."
Yes, Theban, I am done speaking.
Thank you for all that you've done for us. You are the best that Sparta has had to offer, and I've seen the best of Sparta.
No, you haven't. But it is a very sweet sentiment. You squishy Theban boy. He kind of does like a little bit of a cheek pinch. The sun's out. It's got to be a good sign, yes?
Hard to imagine it's a bad one.
Let's go see if we can find everybody. Alright. Themisto, what were you going to say?
Am I allowed to run to find Phoebe?
Well, if you knew where she was, then probably.
I would have told them.
Yeah. But you're like.
Mhm. Yeah. A good 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay. It's gonna be really cute and horrible, so we can wait until next time.
As I start to leave the temple, because I imagine people are starting to filter out, either filtering out to be in the sunlight or like pouring into the temple to offer thanks.
It's getting a little bit of a chaos mess.
I will just kind of do a quick glance to see if I see Brice anywhere in the crowd. And if not, I'll start to head back to find the rest of the group.
Make a perception check.
It's only a 7.
Did you use your super roll yet?
Yeah, I already used that
Oh,
on one of my
But you
insights
didn't
into
use
her.
yours, the Misto.
I haven't. And my love of the sun and Phoebe give it back to her.
Sure. Why not?
Y'all, I'm not in a good emotional state. It's a natural 20, which is a 23.
You look about as the crowd is milling and going back and forth. And on a stone bench, you see the basket of groceries. With no Brice in sight. You go over to it?
Yeah.
You see in it fruit, some spices, another little jar of honey, the apples, a wrapped, like, spun white and green cloth. And you realize that the green is actually what looks like peacock feathers emblazoned on this scarf.
Phoebe's very confused. If this was who she thinks it was, after all the attitude she gave her on whichever island it was way back when, why she would show up to Phoebe. And it's just gonna kind of make note of it to discuss when she gets back to her friends.
Okay. Very nice. All right. Well, on that note, as the sun breaks across Sparta and cheers erupt, we'll say over the next 30 minutes or so, as everybody finds themselves back together again, reveling at the sun. Xanthus finds his way to everybody, running, sweating, out of breath. The sun's back. The sun's back. What have you guys done? What did I miss? It wasn't you?
I'm not sure we did.
You don't
Unless
suppose it
it
was
was
that
delayed.
glyph?
What'd you say right now?
You don't suppose it's kind of the same thing that Cypress. So you don't suppose it was that glyph you dispelled, and it just took a while.
Perhaps I have a more worrying thought.
As do I.
I guess we'll find out next Tuesday what the cause of all the hubbub is.
I think Phoebe's going to be the last one to come in, and as y'all are talking about a worrying fear, this is when she walks up and she's just like drenched in tears.
Do I throw more emotions at you now, or do we wait?
I vote for emotions.
I mean, I'm
They're
already
here.
crying, so.
Double scoop.
I vote let her live in suspense for a week. Delayed emotional gratification.
Well,
Would you call this emotional edging?
I was not gonna say that, but I was thinking it. Damn
I
you!
wasn't going to say it either. I was trying to keep this a nice stream.
This
Well,
stream.
what
Wednesdays are a different thing.
How would you like to do it, Dreamy?
It's up to you. I can't
How would
say
you like
many
to
words.
do this as in kill this creature?
You can always
Let's,
flip a
let's,
D2.
let's wait for the start of next time. You've been through enough.
All right. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What excitement.
As long as I get to have the first word next stream, please.
Heard.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Quick thing before we end, there will be no VTM tomorrow night due to some the bridgers needing to be up for the day. So, oh wells. Next week we'll resume our shenanigans.
Yeah.
But join us on Friday for some cool Jedi stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, us is in the royal us.
The royal we.
Aaron and the pew pew pews.
Yeah. Pip, are you ready? It's gonna be great. We got to see Pip relive her Alcura-ness. Because it's always great. It's always good. Yeah, I'm glad that you could tune it. I'm so ready. Ah! Me too. It's gonna be great. Good. It's gonna be good to see everybody all together again. And I'm sure it'll be a lovely time with no chaos or hijinks whatsoever. But until then, until Friday, be brave, stay fey. The safe word is mango. Bunny spread.
Breathe the sun.
Gaze among you, upon us. I don't know.
Gaze upon me.
You were gonna do that strong bad monologue.
Oh yeah. That's true. Oh well. Maybe next time. I'll see you later, guys. Bye.